Hello, this is Ali with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today we have the latest episode of Real Talk for Lightworkers, where we're going to talk about how you can get to your dream life and still be totally miserable. So I know this sounds like a really fun topic to talk about, and there may be a little bubble bursting that happens in this video, and I'm okay with that because sometimes we need to get our bubbles burst in order for growth, expansion, and all these awesome great things. Okay, so what I want to share today is absolutely a personal experience, okay? So this is me being totally, completely honest with you about my own journey and my own life. I'm not talking to you about some hypothetical thing that I heard from someone else. I did this, okay? So I was just like everybody else in a lot of ways, I think, but maybe just a little bit more extreme in some facets of this, where growing up, I had an idea of, okay, so this is not necessarily true. Growing up, I suffered a lot, and I was sick a lot, and I had a lot of traumas with my parents and a lot of traumas with school and just being a sensitive person and all these, you know, light worker things. And I do this because I think some of it is a little over dramatized, but I was a sensitive person. I had a lot of blown filters, as they say. Meaning picking up on things that other people weren't picking up on, seeing things that other people weren't seeing, not knowing that I was doing that, and therefore being responded to in a way that was not necessarily positive, and so being rejected a lot. I got a lot of rejection, and at the same time, kind of same as everyone else, right? Born into this system that essentially tells us that life is hard and that life is struggle and that we're never, like, that happiness is going to come from fame and success and people loving you and having money and all of these things. And so being someone who essentially spent my childhood in a state of misery. I was very, very anxious, very depressed. I was not a happy kid. I was never a happy kid. And this turned into becoming a very anxious teenager and young adult. And essentially what I'm saying here is, like, I probably would have been someone that would have been would have gone the nihilistic route. That life is just pain, life is just suffering, and there's no point to it, and probably would have ended up being someone who became suicidal at some point. However, the thing that I had that I think maybe was a bit odd is that I had this just fundamental feeling or sense or knowing, whatever you want to call it, that this isn't how life has to be. That life isn't supposed to be so suffering, life isn't supposed to be so traumatic, life isn't supposed to be so hard, life is not supposed to be this painful. And there must be a way of getting to a place where life doesn't feel like this, where life feels good, and it feels like I want to live, and it feels like I'm excited to get up in the day, and that things go the way that I think they should go. Okay, so this is, I'm going to talk about in the next video about learning trauma, and how one of the reasons why I didn't develop the same kind of learning trauma as everybody else is that when reality didn't go the way that I thought it should, I kind of had a two-pronged approach. Number one, I was willing to be wrong about my assumption of how reality was supposed to go. I was willing to say, okay, it didn't go how I thought it should. Maybe I'm incorrect about how it works. And there must be some other way of getting... But however, I was never willing to give up on the result I wanted. So here, that's where I think I'm different than a lot of people. So a lot of the time when we expect life to go a certain way, we expect a certain result. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a healing. We're looking for more money. We're looking for passion. We're looking for our partner. We're looking for some sort of result that we're thinking is going to make us happy in our lives. And for a lot of people, when they try things, they try 1 or 2 or 3 different things, they don't get that result, and then they either keep trying the same thing over and over again, thinking at some point it's going to work because I know I've figured this out, this is right, and reality is just wrong. Or we give up on the results. We say, well, okay, I guess that thing just isn't possible. I guess it's just not possible to be healthy. I guess it's just not possible to make money. I guess it's just not possible to have this dream relationship of mine. And so I'm just going to give up on the dream, where I was never able to give up on the dream. I was always like, no, there has to be a way to be happy in life. There has to be a way where I know enough about how things work that I can predict the results of my behavior, and that I can start to heal my body, which was very ravaged. I can start to have relationships that feel good rather than are just like balls of manipulation. I can start to live a life where I feel free in my expression, and I can serve in a way that is resonant for me and works for other people. So I never worked within the system. I just couldn't do it. I was not able to do the 9-to-5 thing. I was not able to live eating standard food. My body and my system would not allow for any compromises, is really what it was. However, of course, in the beginning, that was quite traumatic, because it just seemed like no matter what I ate, I got sicker. No matter what I tried, I got sadder. No matter how many jobs I tried to work, I was not successful the way that I wanted to be, and I didn't feel fulfilled, and I didn't feel good. And so rather than allowing that to traumatize me into believing that this was just how life was, and that there was no, my dream of being happy wasn't a thing, I just kept trying different stuff. I just kept saying, nope, there has to be a way. And I'm going to keep searching, I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep going farther and farther outside the box of how normal people live in order to find this happiness. And lo and behold, here I am, almost 30 years old, and I'm living this life that is essentially unbelievable, even to me, okay? So I have reached levels of physical health that I never thought that I would reach. And this is not to say I'm in perfect physical health, because I'm not. And because I started from a really bad place, okay? Like I was born ill, and this body was falling apart and was getting worse up until I was about 14 or 15, when I started to sort of change things. And it took me a good 10 years to start to see positive results from what I was doing. I slowed down the degradation for a while there, but I wasn't seeing like healing until way later. And so that's part of it. I've been able to create a situation for myself where I run this company, and it's my dream to run this company. I get to talk about what I care about. I get to work with people. I get to do everything I'm good at, everything I'm naturally talented at, everything that I'm passionate about, and that's my career, and I get paid to do it, and I get supported to do it, and that is like very I think a lot of people would consider that like a dream situation. Yeah. Same thing with my relationships. I've been able to work through my childhood traumas and my childhood suffering and the conditioning that I was given on what a relationship is and how we relate in relationships to be very, very different, so that I can have non-dramatic, non-combative, really supportive, awesome relationships in my life. I don't have very many of them, but I have some very solid, fundamental, foundational relationships with some people that are just not at all the normal way of relating. There's no drama. That we actually want what's best for each other. We push each other to grow. It's a very harmonious situation. And again, that was not my experience as a child. That was not my experience growing up. I experienced the exact same thing that everyone else does. That just life is hard, life is struggle, and the best things that we're gonna get are distractions and reliefs from that. The weekend, food, sex, drugs, pleasureful things that numb us out for long enough that we can head back into the work week on Monday and deal with our shitty relationships with our family and deal with our shitty body and all of these things, because we have these brief moments of stimulation that make us be able to get through it. I was not that person. I was not able to use stimulation. I wasn't able to distract myself. I couldn't get through. And so I want to say too, one of the other sort of odd things about me was that I got myself to a place where I was able to essentially get rid of all my self-sabotaging behaviors. So the eating disorder stuff, the distraction with TV, the distractions with media, like a lot of distraction, to the point where I was essentially spending a lot of my day sitting around just being in pain, just noticing how much everything hurt and just not doing anything about it, really. Like doing a lot of trying to heal emotionally and being with my emotions and all of these things that I teach in the Emotional Mastery series and all of that stuff. And I just didn't use distraction, but life was still just really hard and painful. And so that was like, okay, right. And then we started to journey towards living here in Thailand and starting Perception Trainers and getting this life started, where I was literally walking into this dream situation, this ideal situation. And I've been living this ideal situation now for the last 3 years. And in so many ways have become actually genuinely happy. So this is like one of these things that I think a lot of society wants to tell us that, you get to your dream, but you're still who you were. And so even though the circumstances have changed, you're still not happy. Well, that's definitely not true. I have created circumstances for myself where I am happy because of the circumstance. In the sense of, again, the circumstances that I have created for myself are life generating. They feel good, right? A large part of why we think we just suffer permanently is because it's everything that we try is the wrong answer. Everything that we try is degrading. There are very specific things that we need to do to be people who are on a life-generating path, moving towards being in harmony with nature and in harmony with our bodies and in harmony with each other so that we are not causing destruction. And that is truly what feels good, where we are living our lives in a way where we are not causing harm, and then beyond that, we are a creative iteration on reality, and we have something to offer reality. So in many ways, I have moved myself towards this life-generating life where I don't cause the same degree as harm and destruction due to my lifestyle choices as the average individual, and I feel better because of it. I literally am genuinely a happier person and I have this inner peace that we're all searching for because there's levels of destruction that I'm not causing. And so that pain messenger that says, hey, you're out of alignment, doesn't need to be there. Now, is this to say that I'm like not causing harm? Of course not. Of course not at all. I still fly in an airplane and to get around the world. I still live in an apartment and use electricity. I still have produce that comes from the store that's wrapped in plastic. I am not by any means saying that I'm completely life generating and there's nothing about me that's could stand to be improved. However, I'm on the path. See, now this is another area where we can reduce our suffering, is so long as we're on a path of moving forward and seeing where, okay, there are still things, life degenerating habits in my life, and I'm seeing them and I'm acknowledging them for what they are, and I'm making plans to shift myself so that those things are no longer a part of my life. Again, even just doing that, you're going to feel better, you're going to suffer less. Now, so what is the point, Allie? How can we get to this dream life and still be feeling shitty? The bottom line that I'm trying to share here is this. I've gotten to this place where I'm in this very dream life, and then I was still having a large degree of suffering in some areas. So there were a lot of areas, like in my work and in my relationships and all this, where the suffering was gone. I don't suffer in my work. I don't have to motivate myself. There is no grumbling getting up on a Monday morning. That's just not a thing. I could work all day, every day, I think, and be just blissed out because this is who I am. This is my expression. This is very much in alignment with who I am, and it's life generating. Like I say, in lots of areas with my health, things are just very different. And I have a level of health that I've never had before, and I know that it's continuing to evolve and get better because I understand this now. So, like I say, and again, in my relationships, I've found these balances and these ways of relating through self-knowledge and knowledge of others that there's harmony. Yeah, there's not destruction. We're not trigger ping-ponging each other. We're not just using each other as a place to blow off steam and manipulate and try and get love or whatever. I love myself deeply, and I have accepted myself now. Where I was experiencing trauma and struggle were in my areas where there's nothing to do today, and I can just take the day off and do something that's just fun, just pleasure. And so I'm literally, like I say, right, like that's like I know this is going to sound like, holy shit, cry me a river, white privileged person, when I say to you this, what I'm about to say, and I get that, but I just kind of want you to hear me out. That when it came down to pleasure for pleasure's sake for me, in the sense of like, I have no responsibilities, there's nothing really I need to be doing today, I can just color or paint or do something nice, I would go into complete lockdown. Trauma, struggle, suffering, panic attack mode. And so like I say, right, I got to this dream life, but I'm still not totally happy. I'm still suffering deeply in some areas. And again, we understand that that pain is showing us that we're out of alignment with life in somehow. So I was dealing with this, and there was just like, for this whole time, through this whole, there's this underlying aching and this underlying pain in my heart that I could never get rid of, and I never could understand what was going on. I didn't really get what was happening. And when I finally had the revelation of what was going on, it was this. I realized that I've done all this work, I've healed myself, I've created this really, really happy life for myself. And the only person that I've actually fixed or healed or made healthy or made happy is myself. And that was a massive disappointment for me, in the sense of there was something in me from very early on in my childhood that thought that if I could just get this figured out, and if I could just get this all right, I was going to make the whole world happy with me. I was going to fix all the problems in the world, and we were all going to get it. And it was this trauma of, as I was moving forward in my life, and as I was discovering these things that were making harmony in my life and giving me success and giving me the results that I wanted and making me happy and all these things, there was this underlying pain and sadness and just struggle with the fact that there were so many people in my life that I couldn't bring with me, that I couldn't convince them of what I was doing. I can't convince them out of their pain. I can't heal them. I can't fix them, and they're still struggling. So I got to this place where I'm living this awesome life, and I was essentially just feeling guilty about it 24/7, because I felt like I was abandoning humanity being happy. I felt like I was abandoning everybody, and just, I fucked it up because it didn't work. I'm the only one that's happy, and everyone around me, not everyone, but a lot of people that I really care about, and just humanity in general, is still suffering, and they're not getting it, and no matter what I do, I can't change that, and I'm making videos and I'm doing all this. So the fundamental truth was, my out of alignment value system, that I was here to save and fix the world, meant that I literally created my dream life and couldn't enjoy it, because I had such a foundational value system that was out of alignment with truth that it sucked me into that dark pit of despair, no matter how awesome my life was. So this is the fundamental truth of this video. You can get to your dream life and still be miserable, so long as your core foundational beliefs are out of alignment with the truth. Okay? We can still hold on to a value system that is conditioned, that is harming us, that is not in alignment with the truth, that even if our lives are amazing, we can't enjoy it. So this is where I say, if you're starting to experience awesome results in your life, but you're still feeling pain and trauma and drama and suffering, go look at the Emotional Mastery series and your core values. The things your parents taught you to believe, the things your parents taught you are right, the things that religion taught you, the things that school taught you, and see how those things might not be in alignment with reality. Because that is where we suffer even in our dream life. We have to shift our values, okay? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.